If you have been struggling with joins in SQL, then this is the right videos for you to watch, because joining a table is actually very simple in SQL if you understand the concept. Joins are used to combine two or more tables based on their related columns. Basically, sometimes in SQL, we are not just querying just a single table. You may want to kind of get information from different tables, and you want to relate these tables together using join. Then join is the perfect use case for this when you're trying to query or get information from two or more tables. So what is join? Joins are used to combine rows from two or more tables based on the related columns between them. They also allow you to retrieve data from multiple sources and present it in one view, right? Imagine you have data from different places and you are trying to kind of present that in one view. The common join types that we have are inner join, left join, right join, and then full join, or we can call it full outer join, right? I'm going to use two tables to explain this for you and how this works so you can kind of understand the concept around join. On this table, you can see a table we call training performance, which is actually the table we have on our left. That's the left table. That's what I'll be regarding to as left table in this course. Then we also have employee details table, which is what I'll be regarding to as right table. So the left table, which is training performance, is telling us about the trainings that some of our staff just undergo. And this training kind of gives us the performance of each of the staffs and also their assimilation rate during the training. So you can see Adewale assimilation is 30%, and then his performance in the entire class is like 20. So basically, this is their assimilation score and this is their performance in the class. We also have another table down here. We kind of show me the details of this employee, which is their name, their email, their department, their age, and also their roles in the company. So basically, two tables. The first one is telling me about my training performance of some of my employees, and the second one is giving me the employee details, which is the details of all employees. If you look at this table very well, and we're kind of doing some analysis on it, you will see that in the first table, which is the training performance, Dara Snow is actually not part of our employee, right? Basically, based on what I can see here, Dara is not part of our employee. So Dara was added to the training by the vendor that actually conducted this training for us. So Dara was just added. It's not part of our employee. It's just somebody that just joined the training from the vendor. So Dara is not part of us. Also on the employee table, we also have Michelle and Sean. So Michelle and Sean did not attend the training because these are technical lead, head of HR and CTO. They did not attend this training. So in the first table, which is the training performance, we basically have only 4 people that attend the training, and they're also our staff. And that is Adewale, Joe Biden, Akin, David. And you can also see them right here in our staff table. But Dara is not in our staff table because Dara is not part of our staff. Michelle and Sean does not also attend the training. That's why you can see them on the table here. So what we are going to do is to kind of see how these two tables kind of have effect and how we can actually query them in SQL and how you can actually use join to kind of combine them. So if I jump right into my Azure Data Studio, right here, I have a table that I'm just going to create. So you will see this query, the query I have here that I used to create this table and this data I added in the description below. So make sure you download that and use that. Now, what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to create a table called training performance. That's what I create here. So I'll highlight this and create a table called training performance, and I will insert some data into that table, which is exactly the same example I showed you on my slide. So I'm also going to insert this table, create this table called employee details, and also insert some data into it. Let me insert some data into it and run this as well. So I've inserted some data into employee details, right? So if I select training performance right now, and then I just do some select star. Now I have the exact table that I showed you. So I have 5 people that actually attended this training and their assimilation score and their performance. And if I also look at the employee details, I have the list of all our employees, which is 6 employees that we have with their department, their age, their job title, and all that. Now, let's kind of understand something before we kind of look at join. The first thing I want to do as somebody that is writing this query or as an analyst is I want to kind of get, aside from, let's look at the table that we call our left table, which is the training performance table. The training performance table, I want to get the department of these guys so that I can actually send, probably send an email to their head of department or something. I just want to get the department that these guys belong to. And I also want to know their role, right? So basically, I don't have that in this table. The only way I can do that is to kind of join this table with another table. right? And the table I can join it with is employee details. Now, once you identify that, these are the tables you can join things with. The next thing you need to look at is what are the related columns between these two tables. And if I'm looking at this, the related column between the two tables is email address, because that's kind of unique, right? The names can be the same somehow, but the email address is actually very unique. So if I go to my training performance, I have email address. And if I also look at my employee details, I also have email address. So which means I can use this email address to kind of join the two, to do a join on the two, right? Now, we have different type of joins. We have the join that you can also call inner join. We also have left join. We have the full join, and we also have right join. So we kind of explore these four right now, and we kind of see how all of them kind of work and what they kind of do, right? So if I jump back to my Azure Data Studio, and I'm just going to do a basic SQL query to kind of query these two, right? I just want to join these two together, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say select star. Now I'm selecting everything. Now I will still come back and select a particular column, but I just want to see everything, right? So select star from my left table, which is the training performance. Remember, any table you have before your join, that is your left table. And the table you have after your join, that is your right table. So basically now I'm selecting star from training performance, which is my left table. And I'm going to kind of add something to this. Now, the next thing I'm going to add to this is join. I want to kind of join this thing. So if I say join right now, join. So what am I joining? I want to join my employee details with the training performance, right? So that I can get some information from there as well. And that will be my right table. So what I'm going to do is employee details, which is this one. I want to join that on my training performance. So my training performance. Now, which column am I trying to join inside training performance, right? I want to join that training performance.email is equals to employee details dot email, right? Just look at this syntax. Very simple. I'm selecting star from my training performance, and I'm doing a join of employee details on training performance.email and employee details.email, because I'm using email, which is the related column between the two. So basically, if I run this query right now, let's see what this is going to return. So right now, I have the join of all the table. You can see it actually joined everything. So I have student, email, assimilation score, performance. I also have student name again. I have email again. I have department. I have age, and I have job title, right? So basically, it's return everything, because now I'm selecting star. I'm not selecting a particular column that I want to see. But one thing you should notice here is that we don't just have only 4 staff. We have 6 staff. And even the training has 5 attendants that attended the training. 5 people attended the training. 6 staff is what we have. But we are seeing 4 right now, right? So basically, what this join is doing, we can also call it inner join. It's the same as inner join, right? This same join, I can run it again. So you see, it's still the same. It's the same as inner join. So what this is doing is that it's creating a join between both tables where the value exists, right? Anywhere there is no join between them, then it kind of filter it out. That's what it did. Because right here, if I kind of look at my training performance, you will see that Dara Snow has been removed from here. And that is because we don't have Dara Snow in the employee details. And if you also look at the employee details, you will notice that Michelle and Sean has also been removed because they didn't attend the training. So the inner join, what the inner join did is it only brought back where there is actually a join. So when there is no join, it just removed them, it just filter it out, right? So basically, you have only the people that attended the training alone. Now, I can simplify this right now. Instead of selecting star, I can say I want to select student name, right? And then I want to select email. Right? I want to select, let's say performance. Then I also want to select, now I want to select something from the employee details table, which is department, right? So if I put department right now, department, right? And I also put comma, and I also put, let's say, I also want to bring back their job title, right? Now, you will notice that email is kind of giving me error right now. Let me run this so that you see this, right? Email is kind of telling me that there's ambiguity because I have email inside my training performance. I also have email inside my employee details. So the best thing to do is to actually signify which of the email do you want to return. So if I want to return email from training performance, I have to do training performance dot email, right? Dot email. That way I have signified where I want these particular columns to come from. The other one are not returning error because they are not the same name in both table, right? So if I kind of run this now I've simplified this query. I have the student name, I have the email address, I have their performance, I also have their department and their job title, which is technically what I want to kind of achieve, right? Now, another thing you can also do to kind of make your query easy or lighter is you can give both your left table and your right table a name. Let's say, for example, training performance is our left table, right? So I'm going to give it L, right? I'm just going to give it L. So by putting L in front of the table, that means you have actually make sure that you name this as L. Then employee details is my right table. I'm going to go here and call it R, right? So that R that I basically did, give it a name, right? So anywhere I have training performance, I'm not going to use training performance anymore. I will just use L, right? L.email. And anywhere I have employee details, I'm just going to use R, just to kind of reduce my long query. So I'll use r.email. And right here where I have training performance as well, I'm going to change that to L as well, right? L.email. You can even name this one as L.student. The student name is coming from L, which is L.student name, L.performance. Department is coming from the right table. We can do R.department, R.job title. So if I run this query right now, it's still going to give me the same result, but with minimal query, right? And that is an example of inner join. Now, let's look at an example of, so I'm going to put a comment here. So inner join, right? Now, let's look at an example of left join. So we're going to look at the example of left join, which is something similar to this, right? And I'm going to use the same query. I'm just going to copy and paste this same query, right now. And I'm going to kind of change this inner to left join. Now, when I run this query right now, you will see a little bit different. Now, the difference you're going to see now is that left join is basically going to join the left table, the right table with the left table and return everything on the left. That's what left means. So let me put this here. Return all value on the left table, whether there is a match or not. Whether there is a match or not, right? And that is what the left is doing. So left is basically joining the both table, but it's returning everything on the left right now because remember, we said training performance is our left table, which is the first thing we mentioned before the join. Employee details is the right table. So left join simply means that I want you to make sure that everything on the left to remain the same, then bring whatever we have on the right. And if there is no match, just return null. And that is why you can see that Dara is not part of our staff. And that is why Dara is seeing null here. So this is our left table. So if I return the left table, you will see we have 5 people. Dara Snow is part of them. So which is the same thing this left is doing. It's going to return everything and it's going to join the other table, right? Now let's look at the other one, which is the right join. Okay, right join. Okay, so for right join, I'm going to copy the same query and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to kind of change this left to right. And I'm sure you know what that is going to return already. Right simply means give me everything on the right, right? Give me everything on the right. Then join that with the left table. Whatever is not existing in the left table, then take it as a null. Now, if you look at our right table, which is the employee details, if I run this right now, this is everything on this employee details, right? We have 6 rows. We have 6 rows basically. But in the training performance table, we have 5 rows, but 4 of them kind of match. So if I return this right now, you will see that we only have 4 that are matched, but it returned 6. Basically, what that does is this. It returns everything on the right table, which is department and job title that we are bringing. You can see that it returned the 6, right? But on the left table, it only returned the things that are matched, which is these 4 people, which is only these 4 people. Even though Dara Snow is part of the left table, it has removed that because Dara Snow does not match. We are looking at the right now. The only thing that was not here is Dara Snow, right? Because Dara Snow is not part of our staff. So it got rid of that. It's returned everything from the right table, but only brought the ones that are matched. Return everything from the light, whether there is a match from the left table or not. It's just going to return everything from the right. That is what right join is. Now let's look at the third one, which is the full join, right? Or full outer join. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this as well, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to kind of change this and call it full join. Now, full join. Remember when we look at inner join only bring values where there is a match. Left join return everything on the left and give you the match from the right. Right join return everything from the right and give you the match from the left. Now, full join, we kind of return everything on the left and everything on the right, and whether there is a match or not, it's going to return everything, right? So if I run this right now, you will see that we have Adewale Yusuf, we have Joe Biden, we have Akin, we have David, we have Dara Snow, which is basically every column we have on the left, right? Now, Dara is not part of our staff. That is why you can see that department is null for Dara, and also job title is null for Dara. It also returned HR and CTO, the head of HR and CTO, but both of them did not attend the training, and that is why you can see that their student name is blank, their email is null, and also their performance in the class is also null because they did not attend the training. Now, this is basically full join. So full join is returning everything from the left and also the right, whether there is a match or not, right? Now, let's look at some real life example. So the example you're going to look at is, we want to look at which room type has the highest number of review. The case study we've been working with on Airbnb. Now, which of the room has the highest number of review? Which room type, just look at the question. Which room type has the highest number of review? Now, if I look at my Airbnb tables, I'm going to say select star from just the first one, which is the Airbnb listing, and then I also want to do select star from my review table, right? Airbnb review table, right? Which is these 3 tables that we have here. Let me also bring in the third one. So select star. The third table is an Airbnb pricing, Airbnb underscore pricing. So we have these 3 tables, right? So if you look at the listing, get input from here. So if you look at the listing, for example, Airbnb listing, inside the listing table, we have the ID, we have the name, we have the host name, we have the neighborhood, we have different thing about these people, but we don't have the total number of people that review this particular host name, which is this host. We don't have people that review this host, right? And if you look at the questions that we are trying to solve, this question says, which room type has the highest number of review? Which room type has the highest number of review? Now, we can only see the host name here, and then we can also see the room type of this host. Look at this room type. But if you look at the review table, there's no room type in the review table, and there's no host in the review table. We only have the total number of people that review here, which is by their ID. We can actually count this ID to know, okay, how many people actually review, right? So the best way for us to do that is to create a join between the Airbnb listing table and also the Airbnb review table. And how do we do that? So I'm just going to go here and I will just give this a name and say problem solving 1. And which problem am I trying to solve here? So I'm just going to put here. So which room type has the highest number of review? That's the problem I'm trying to solve here. So it's kind of very easy because I'm going to use join. Now, what do I need? That's the first thing I want to even see. What do I need to be able to get this done? I need only 2 columns. So I need the room type, and I also need the total number of reviews, which is like total reviews. So to do that, I'm going to say select, then room type. So I'm selecting the room type, comma, and I'm also doing a count, and I'm doing a distinct of this count. So I'm doing distinct count. Distinct count of ID, right? Just ID. Let's say ID, right? This is count of ID. And I'm renaming this count as total review. So I'm calling this count total review. So let me give it total review. Total reviews. That's what I want to call this count. And I'm bringing that from the Airbnb listing table. That's where I want to kind of bring this from. So I'm going to say Airbnb listing. Right. Now, I'm selecting a count of room type. I'm counting the ID of reviews, right? This ID in review. That's what I want to count. The ID in review. And then I want to join this now. Now, to join this, the best join for me to use is to kind of do inner join, because I want to look at where a particular room type exists and the review that it gives them. Anything that doesn't exist can be filtered out from both tables, right? So I'm going to do inner join. Inner join. What am I joining this with? I'm joining it with Airbnb review on what is the unique identifier between both of them, right? Unique identifier between both of them. So the unique identifier is ID, right? So from Airbnb listing table dot ID, right? And is equals to Airbnb review table dot listing ID. So I'm joining the ID from the listing table with the ID from the review table, right? Now, I can actually run this right now, but it's going to throw error definitely, because I'm only selecting 2 columns, which is the room type and total review. So I need to group this by, right? So I'm going to say group by room type, and then I also want to probably order this, but let me leave it for now. Now, you will notice that this ID is also bringing error here, because I have ID in Airbnb listing and I also have ID in review. But the ID I want to count is actually the ID coming from the review table, so that I can know how many people actually review a room. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this guy name. So I'm going to give this L, which is the listing table, and I'm going to give this guy R, which is the review table. So technically, I can change this listing to L.ID, which is coming from listing, and I can change this review table to R.listing ID. Then here, I can also have R.ID, which is, I want to count the R ID from the review table. So if I run this query right now, then you will see that we're going to have a room type, and then we also have our total review. Then we can also order this so that we can see it from the highest. So I can say order by total review, and then let's say we want to order descending, right? So if I run this right now, let's see, then we have it from the highest. So the room type that has the highest is entire home / apartment, right? And this is what it is going to return. Now, this is what your query should look like when you are done. So you are selecting room type, you are counting your distinct ID, total review, and then you are joining review table with your listing table. So let's look at another problem solving. We want to find the total review generated by each host. Total revenue generated by each host. How many revenue was generated by each host? Now, if I jump back to my Azure Data Studio, if I look at the pricing table, this is where we have the price, which is, we can actually summarize this one to get the revenue. So we have the price here. So we have the price here. We can summarize price to get the revenue. But in our listing table, this is where we have the hosts. So if I run this one here right now, and then you will see that this is where we have our host. So this is the host name. So we can get host name from here, and then we can also get price from, we can get revenue from pricing. So basically, which problem are we trying to solve here? So let me put that here now. So problem solving 2, we are finding the total revenue generated by each host. Total revenue generated by each host. So to do that, it's quite simple. So we continue with select. What are we selecting? So now we are selecting the host name, then comma. So we are selecting host name from our Airbnb listing table. And I want to do a sum now. And I want to sum the pricing from the pricing table. So I can say Airbnb, yeah. Okay, let me just say, since I want to do it from pricing, so let me give pricing a name already. So I can call it P, capital P dot price, right? No worries. It's going to show error, but I'm going to resolve that later. And I'm going to call this total revenue, total underscore revenue, right? Now, from where are we selecting this from? I want to select this from Airbnb pricing, and I'm calling pricing P. Remember, I give pricing P. That's the name of pricing, P. That's the name of pricing. Now, I want to do a join. But this type of join I'm doing right now, I'm doing it from the right. Because basically, remember I told you that anything you do before your join, any table you put before your join, that's your left table. And any table you put after your join, that's your right table. So if I do right, join, right? And then I kind of put the table I want to join it with, which is the listing table. So let me give listing a name, and then let's give listing hell. So on where now? So I want to say L, which is the listing table dot ID, is equals to pricing table P dot listing ID. P dot listing ID. So basically what I'm doing is I want you to return everything on the right table, which is all the hosts on the listing table. Return all the hosts. I don't want to filter out any host. So even though a host does not have a revenue, return them still. Then I can see that their revenue is null. So that's what the right join means. If I do inner join, just like I did previously, then that means it's going to return only the host that has a revenue. But right now, I just want to join hosts, whether they have a revenue or not, right? So I also need to group this, right? Because I'm summarizing. So I can say group by host name, group by host name. So when I run this query right now, let's just run this. Now I will have my host and their revenue here. Now, because I use right join, I said I want to see all the hosts from the listing table. You remember, host is coming from the listing table, revenue is coming from here. So if I look at this now, then there will be some hosts that won't have a revenue. You can see that Selena does not have any revenue yet. Aida does not have any revenue. Siao does not have any revenue. Kiao and Sean, Jingyu also does not have every revenue. And this is how I can do it. If I want to remove all these nulls, I don't want to see them, then that means I need to use inner join. But right now, I want to see the revenue of all the hostings. Even though you don't have a revenue, I just want to see everything. And that is another problem solving case. So this is how your query sheet looks like when you are done. We are finding total revenue generated by each of the hosts. So let's look at another one. So we want to find the listing that have no review. That's also another use case. We want to find listing that has no review. Okay, so here now we are finding the listing that has no review. Which of the listing that has no review, right? So that we can know that, okay, this particular listing, you don't have any review so far. So you just want to find that. Now, what's the best way for us to do that? We have our review in the review table and we have our listing here. So we are still joining both of them. So we are joining both. So the best thing for us to do here is to do another, again, select. What are we selecting? So we are selecting the listing ID. So we just want to see listing that doesn't have review. So I'm just going to say, where are we selecting the listing ID from? Let's select it from the review. So I can say r.listing underscore ID. So I'm going to give review table r, right? That's why I just do r now. Then I'm going to just say, I also want to just bring in, from my review table, I also want to bring in maybe comment and then maybe name, basically. So name is coming from, yeah. So after the ID, I also want to return the name of the host, right? So I can say my listing table.name, listing.name, right? Comma, and I also want to return the comment. So I will do r is review table, right? Dot comment. review table dot comment. So basically all dot comment, comment, right? Comment. So I want to bring in listing ID from the review table, name from the listing table, and comment from the review table. So I'm just going to say from where am I bringing everything from? So basically Airbnb listing table, from my Airbnb listing table, that's my left table. Now I'm going to do left join. So what that means is that I want you to return all the listing IDs as well, all the name, right? I want you to return all the name of the host. I'm going to say, I'm going to give this listing L, right? And just give it L. I'm going to give it L. Then I'm going to say left join, and I'm joining my review table, Airbnb review table, and I'm giving that R so that you can always take that R on. I want to join it with the listing table. So since I already give that a name, so I can say L.id is equals to R.listing ID, right? So basically, I can give it a condition and say where my comment is actually null, because I want to find the listing that have no review. So if you don't have any review, that means the comment will be null. So I can say where my review table, which is r.comment is null. So where r.comment is null. So when I run this right now, let's see. So basically what we did is we return the name, which is all the name of the hostings, right? Of the listings, all the name of the listings, right? On Airbnb. This is all of them. And these are the one that doesn't have a comment. You can see that their comment is blank. Even their listing ID is also blank. So we can see their name, but their comments and everything about them is blank. So this is how your query should look like when you are done. So you are selecting the review table, listing name, and then you can also give this a name as well.